What's up, guys? Dave and Joe Happy Hour Podcast.
Howdy, everybody.
Number 4.
Number 4.
We're back yet again, and we have a very interesting discussion to talk about with you guys. First of all, thank you again for all the support you guys have given us. We really appreciate it. We've had a great time doing this show with you. And I want to give a shout out to our friend in Germany. His name is KH. Guten Tag, wie du bist.
I love that.
And you're going to ask what that means in German?
No, well, the only German I know is Was ist das? But that means what is this?
What is this?
What is this?
Basically, I said, good afternoon, how are you? So if you're listening out there, which I'm sure you will, KH, welcome, and thank you for all your support. So we got a big discussion for you today about the Nintendo NX and this latest patent that has been released. There's been a lot of speculation and confusion about what this information means.
Well,
okay.
And the funniest thing is, and we're going to try to get right to it, because the issue is that this is deeply technical stuff. A lot of speculation has been going on with these patents. Me and David basically went through over a fine-tooth comb since it dropped. Like, read it several times to get through
15 pages worth.
To get through the whole 15-page document. Plus, we reviewed some of the Nintendo's earlier patents this year. So hopefully we can kind of put it all together in a way that makes sense in layman's terms of what they're trying to actually do and say.
All right. So the main portion that this whole thing revolves around is this supplemental computing device that is not the console. It is not some handheld device. It doesn't have a screen. It's actually a separate device that will connect to said game console, which would be the NX. Now, the patent explains some things that they think that the SCD, we'll call it.
I think
we're
going to start calling it the SCD, but
SCD.
We might say supplemental computing device. It's not. It doesn't flow very well off the tongue.
There's something Nintendo invented in this patent, basically.
Yes.
They invented the name too. So basically, this supplemental computing device (SCD) can do extra things that the console. Or can basically make things easier for the console. It can process extra things like AI processing, storing data into RAM, like caching textures, saving game data, OS type functions, like how when you press the home menu on the Wii U, there's background functions going on.
Exactly.
This thing can do that, for example, and all without the console itself. So they can just focus on the game, the controller, the interface, the graphics, the audio. So the system itself doesn't have to necessarily do those things. So that's what it does for the console. Now, for the there's other things it can do too. Like there's a networking aspect of it, and this is where Joe he's really good at
basically
networking.
What we're going to do is we're going to kind of talk about what the SCD does and its abilities, and then we're going to kind of define them on layman terms of what we think the device is actually going to be used for.
Yes.
So we're going to go right back to Dave on the abilities of what it does. Not only does it do the initial processing and help games get boosted, it also has network functionality.
So basically, the patent talks about the SCD being able to increase processing ability wirelessly through a P2P cloud. So that's player-to-player interface, right?
Exactly.
Local.
P2P is peer-to-peer.
Yeah, so that's local. That's not through your data service. It's actually locally. So that can also be in the form of game logic, AI, and it says you can run your console in standby mode along with the SCD, and the SCD will be able to access other SCDs and other NX consoles, or whatever we want to call it, to daisy chain those capabilities together to increase power, increase performance, okay? Now, if you have a low latency, it could process graphics, things like graphics, wirelessly. But if you have high latency, which would be like a slower connection, then it would be more basic things like AI and logic and things like that. Also, the patent did talk about what the console could theoretically be. It could theoretically be a stationary console.
This is the exciting part, folks.
It could be a semi-stationary console. It could be a mobile device. It could be a semi-mobile device. It could be all these things. It could be different form factors, basically.
Yeah, they mentioned multiple form factors of being able to work with the SCD directly.
Yes.
So more than just the NX system could possibly interface with the SCD.
Yes, exactly. So it brings about all these different possibilities that this brings. It's crazy to think about. So the main thing about the speculation about what was rumored on, like we go all the way back to that first rumor that came out from the Wall Street Journal saying that the Nintendo NX would be a console with a mobile aspect that you could take on the go with you. That could be part of what this is. Now, since the SCD can communicate through all these different devices, this SCD can also handle things like the patent talked about your account, your Nintendo account, your saves, your game saves, and how we know that Nintendo has been talking about being able to play one game through multiple form factors. So you buy a game once, you can play it on different form factors. This looks like your portal device for that. So you have your mobile NX console on the go. You're playing Monster Hunter, on your break at work. You come home, it syncs up with the SCD and transfers. You can easily transfer your save data that you just did through the SCD to your game console, pick up where you left off on your game console, on your TV, and have the upgraded version playing on your console.
Exactly. In fact, it's even going to be more seamless than that.
Yeah.
Instead of worrying about like downloading or uploading, this is going to be completely seamless to the user based on what we saw in the patent. It isn't like now I put my device down and then go home and grab a different device. That's the purpose of the SCD. It's making that stuff transparent. It's doing all of that for you. So you come home and you're in the exact same spot. You turn on your NX. Your mobile could still be on. You might see it run in real time.
Yeah.
We don't know. We don't have the physical example here. But the processing power of the SCD, of what's going on, what they described in the patent, is certainly capable of that.
Yeah, it has its own CPU. It has graphics capability. So imagine, the CPU is gonna, they're making these CPUs these days that have, integrated graphics chips in them.
Oh yeah.
So
it's gonna be massive.
It's gonna have its own graphics ability. It's gonna have memory, storage ability, and of course all kinds of networking.
They specifically said CPU, GPU, and storage ability.
Yeah.
So it's gonna have some type of processing that allows it to store, process both graphics, and process both things that the central processing unit would take care of, like delegating DMA, delegating memory usage, delegating save files, delegating background operations. So it is, in essence, a console booster or a console server that you have at home.
Exactly.
That you can have access directly to a Nintendo-style server that serves your games for you on your network. Yeah. But it even gets bigger and deeper than that, which we're going to delve into in just a minute.
Yeah, well, we can go ahead and kind of get into that right now. Let's say Nintendo is going to reward players.
Yep.
Because here's the thing, that the SCD, the patent said that the SCD is able to go into, you can share your network basically with other people that have the NX, whether it's the mobile version or whatever, and they can daisy chain or connect that way locally. If you share your local connection with them, the patent said that Nintendo will reward them with discounts, free games, things like that, like rewards, like Nintendo rewards.
Exactly.
Basically. And this will make it like an incentive for you to share your connection with others.
There's a lot of things in this actual patent that talks about ways to monetize it, because they have to in any type of patent, and we're going to talk about what specific type of patent this is and why that means something for the NX in just a little bit. But before we get bogged down with legalese, basically the way that it's been described in the patent, the reason it's so detailed is because they have to protect themselves and protect their technology. And one of the ways to protect their technology is to give any use that they may not even be planning for or plan for in the future into that patent. Otherwise, it's not protected.
Exactly.
So they have to be able to protect what they are going to do and what they may do in the future or what may be possible.
Yeah.
None of them, people put patents out all the time, and some of them aren't even used. It is totally possible, although highly unlikely, that they're not going to use this at all.
Yeah.
But they're certainly applying for a patent for it. Now, idiot could say that, yes, it's clearly going to work directly with the NX, launch with the NX.
This is too huge.
And it's too huge and too much of a big deal. However, I just want to be very clear that patents get let all the time and sometimes get picked up by the government being like, yes, you can patent this. Sometimes they're not. They're in the patenting process. They haven't not been ordered this a patent yet. This is patent pending here.
Yeah, exactly.
As far as I'm aware, it's patent pending. I mean, I'd have to do more research to figure out if it's actually a qualified patent from the U.S. Patent Attorney's Office.
I believe it is.
So it went
from
through
the website.
Because that means they had to start like 2 or 3 years ago.
Yeah,
but
it was filed in 2014.
Okay.
And it became public.
Okay, so yeah.
2
So
days
this is
ago.
an actual real patent now. This is actual intellectual property.
Yeah.
So thanks for clearing that up because I did not do any of that research at all.
It's okay. Yeah, this is an actual real patent.
So the actual real patent it's totally done. It's not patent pending. Means that they did have to put in very specific language that qualifies all of this stuff of what it can and cannot do.
Yeah.
So that should anybody else invent something like this, they could be qualified being like, no, you stole that idea from me and then you can give me money now. That's the whole reason you have a patent, is to protect yourself, not to release weird information to the public. This is just something that happens to be public because of the way the U.S. government works.
You know what's real interesting about this technology that they're doing is that, for many years now, when you think about cloud-based services, you're thinking about a gigantic server room somewhere in 500 miles away.
And I'm really glad you brought that up.
Controlling everything around you. This is not that.
Yeah, no, it's not that at all. So, yes, there is a huge cloud element and a huge potential for cloud computing here.
In the future, for sure.
Well, right away.
Yeah.
I mean, just the idea of how they're building the network topography. It has the ability to do peer-to-peer. It has the ability to do both your intranet, your extranet, and internet.
Yeah.
So, and for those terms, I'm not going to define them. I'm just going to throw them off. So go ahead and look up extranet and internet and intranet and all that stuff later.
Any Audi belly button.
Any Audi belly button stuff. Don't worry about. Basically, what it is doing is bringing cloud computing to your house. Mm-hmm. The simplest way to explain it on labels terms. Now, it's not all that it does, nor what its sole purpose is.
Exactly.
However, brings a cloud computing server into your home. Mm-hmm. Or near you for someone else that's afforded the expense to do it. Or at a developer that's closer. Or at whatever that puts up this kind of server farm of this module server base. Now, when you have these module server bases, or these individual servers that you have that are all connected in these various ways, you get massive amounts of computing power.
Yeah.
Perfect example is what NORAD did, like 10 years ago, almost. I'd have to look up the exact dates, but basically, the NORAD and the military built a rack of PlayStation 3s. Mm-hmm. Like 110 of them. They're all linked together that do massive supercomputing. Via a network. Mm-hmm. Very similar, but it's all in one room and it's all server farm based technology, old cloud technology. Mm-hmm. Old cloud technology is the idea that we have a room that's like hermetically sealed and climate controlled, and we put a whole bunch of computers in it and it does everything and shoots it all out. Problem with that is that you still are at a location, and if somebody's far enough away from that location, they're going to lose the amount of speed that it takes to get to that location.
Exactly.
Because of distance and because of losing electricity over distance, because of resistance, because of Ohm's law. There's nothing you can do long enough time, just not fast enough. Even if you have fiber right to it, light travels at a speed.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
exactly.
The idea is to break the server farm up. Mm-hmm. If we take all the pieces of all the PlayStation 3s, it's very similar to an experiment that UC Berkeley did, where they allowed you to load a program onto your PlayStation 3 that allowed to use the network, cloud computing, in its infancy. Mm-hmm. And this was back in the very beginnings of PlayStation 3. They developed kind of a cloud computing algorithm that sat back on the back end of your PlayStation 3 and allowed it to use some of its processing power, roughly 3 to 4% of the actual total machine's ability while you play games. Nothing that you would be detrimental or even see, but you connect enough of them up, you get Metcalfe's law. Yeah. you connect enough things up to enough people with enough user base, and now you have a huge, amazingly big network that has the power to crunch some serious numbers.
Yeah.
If Nintendo just sells one of these per like every 2 NX consoles, it's still going to have an exponential growth curve of raw processing power.
Yeah. And the patent did mention that you could actually bundle this with the console if they choose to.
Yeah, they're
can be
looking at
offered to
all
bundle.
sorts of bundling options. But when we talk about the SCD specifically, I want everybody to get in their idea that this is a game server.
Yeah.
It really operates more than anything as a localized, independent game server that you have control over. It serves for you if you just want it to serve for you. It can serve for the community if you want to serve for you. You can connect to other servers if you need to make your gaming experience better. And, well, what does that mean? What is gaming experience better? That means, well, that means it's going to not only control making things actually accessible in the cloud, it also has a very high possibility of being the reason that the mobile handheld device is able to stream games to it directly. That is, again, hypothetical.
Yeah, it didn't say that.
It doesn't say that directly, but if I had to assume from the 3 patents that were working from 2015 that have all been published, we have the first one being a drive-based fob system.
Okay.
And the second one being a mobile game platform that has IR outside controls. Like, we remember the last 2 patents. The first one being cartridge.
Yeah. And then the other one with the the near field communication
communication stuff and the crazy controller that were coming out in the screen. So that is another patent that they launched, and now this patent with a serving device. So let's put it all together. Now, we don't have any evidence that's saying that you could do any of this. All right? And Nintendo may not do any of this because we don't have any hard evidence in this patent to prove it. But if I had to think about it logically, we have a system that's cartridge-based with a handheld that is mobile on a server that helps it run it all. So what I see is the NX is a 3-part system. It is a handheld system mixed with a console-based system mixed with a server that you can choose to have or not have.
Yes.
That helps you put games anywhere that you want. Whether that's home or on the road or at your buddy's house, wherever you want.
Now, at least as far as this patent's concerned, they're going to start out with the basics, like AI logic, graphics storing, type storage stuff.
Exactly.
They're not going to go for the, I'm going to stream your game completely to you online, because it's just not... But
you won't need to.
Yeah, it's not there yet, yeah.
But that's the whole point, is that you can and can't. It's like, once it's all up and running, the potential is limitless.
Yeah. Once it gets there, then they could potentially do that. But then you want to make sure you have, but you still, just in case for people that don't have an internet connection, they want to make sure that they do have that physical media still attached to the console. So that way they can still have all the if you lose your internet connection, you won't lose your game. Basically.
Exactly. And at the same time, we know that there's disk media based on this. It's not just a cartridge system anymore based on this patent. We know that they're going to have multiple devices and multiple form factors. And literally, without getting way too out there, this could mean that we're talking about Nintendo stuff on non-Nintendo based product because of their cloud system.
Yeah, that's the next thing we can talk about, is that the patent also included... They had a figure. The picture was they called it Figure 102, which was a box in the patent, which was a picture of a game console was a box. Figure 102. They said 102 could include a stationary device, mobile device, semi-stationary, and semi-non-stationary. But they also included computer, smartphone, tablet, other devices,
and social media as an actual tagline in the description.
They're future-proofing this idea because, as we know, they are going to be releasing smartphone apps.
Exactly.
Miitomo was the first announced app they're going to be released. Are they going to limit the app to just be on smartphones?
Well, they also have that Pokemon Battle thing.
That's just on 3DS. Oh yeah, well that's different. Yeah, but Miitomo was the first officially made Nintendo app for smartphones. So this patent leaves it open to the fact that you could probably play that app on your NX too. Yeah. Then. Well, some games are going to be compatible throughout all these devices, including your smartphone.
I really personally feel, and again, I hope this happens. Don't know if this is going to happen. This is, again, my opinion. But I personally do feel that we are on the precipice of them changing the way we do video games, the way that we did video games when the Wii first launched. Before motion controls happened, and we didn't really understand what that meant.
They're going completely opposite way.
And then it happened, and now we all know what it is, and some of it was good and some of it was bad. I think we're going to come across the same situation again. But now Nintendo, to me, is reinventing what cloud computing means and what gaming means on multiple systems. They're going to take what Xbox and PlayStation kind of bumbled with.
Yeah, they tried.
Tried, but kind of... they're
thinking server.
And what Steam kind of does, but they still can't get their Steam box off the ground. They're still bumbling with their idea of trying to get Steam to the home console market. They can very good at computers, very bad at home.
Yeah. You got a. It's a $500 interest fee.
So Nintendo sees where the market's lacking. Now again, speculation. But they're very smart, and they've been successful for a very long time, and they sell very well, and they only do one thing. They only make games. So if I had to logically conclude, based on all of this evidence, this is what I think they're trying to do based on this patent.
Yeah, back in 2014, guys, and thank you, guys, for sending me these links, but Nintendo did hire this group who calls themselves NERD, N-E-R-D, capital, it stands for something. But back in 2014, they hired this group called NERD, who had researched GPU cloud computing for Nintendo. And they patented that also back in 2014. This has been in the works for years.
Yeah. So, all of this data collection that me and David did.
Data did.
Yes, wow, that's the whiskey.
Yes, Captain.
I wish we were that smart. You'd see right through it.
What happened to those million
here on
calculations
David
per second,
Joe
David?
and Happy Hour, thin layer of cool, huge layer of dork.
We are
just so you know. Layer of cool.
If you can believe this, guys, we are drinking while we're doing
we are,
this
we are in
discussion.
fact drinking.
Oh my God!
Because we exist on the corner of Game Lane and Drink Street.
Yeah, we'll
we'll discuss that later.
Yeah, that is just crazy. But yeah, we are we are still kind of sober though. This is kind of more important.
Ish. I got 2 or 3 drinks in me. But what I really see what they're trying to do, and again, this is just hypothetical.
Yeah,
is that the niche that's lacking in the cloud gaming world is that nobody has a single option to go
access.
from PC to console to your home television to your iPad to your 3DS
on the
seamlessly
go.
On the go. Nobody has figured that out yet. Right now we're picking our brands. We're picking the technology that we want to have. So for the iOS gamer, he's going to pick Mac things, and for the PC gamer, he's going to pick PC things, and for the Nintendo gamer, he's going to pick Nintendo things, and we're all subdivided. I really think that Nintendo is trying to make a move into all of it's good. We make good games. Let's get them to everyone. It doesn't matter how. And so for the Nintendo fans like us, we're going to have the NX, and I'm going to definitely have the SCD, and I'm definitely going to have I'm going to have it all, bitch.
Yeah.
and
I'm not going to limit myself.
I'm not gonna, and so I'll be able to seamlessly do whatever I want, maybe Nintendo-wise or whatever. But I think that they're really trying to bring it out to the next person that already has these devices, already has this stuff. Mm-hmm. Now, they said even in their patent, not every game, not all the stuff, not everything needs everything. It's like they're building a network. And they're building this network to make, let's say they sell 5 million units all the way through, which means they're going to sell one SCD, they're going to sell one handheld and one NX for every, 5 million of them across the United States.
Yeah.
Well, that's 5 million site locations of a micro server.
Yeah. That's a lot.
Now, maybe they're all in California, which makes California rock and everybody else suck, but let's say they're evenly spread across the United States. That makes things tangentially as far as like network stuff, like to where you have a bad connection, but the buddy has an NX that's closer.
Yeah, exactly.
Now you have a good connection.
Yeah.
Because that NX is then connected to the NX and not the actual internet.
Yeah, exactly.
Or it's using the internet to make a VPN. Like literally a enclosed tunnel between two NXs that are going to do the processing for you.
It is connected to the internet through someone else's connection.
So you have a closer connection to the server farm than you've ever had. Even one in your house, like, oh man, my connection sucks, but if I get this SCD, now I have one here on my site. Now I have a new site, a new network site. I'm directly located next to the server.
Exactly.
Now you've dropped your ping. As far as, like, Steam computing, if we take this from a PC computing standard, and like, well, I can drop a Steam server in my house for $500.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Like if somebody's like Steam, Steam goes like, yeah, it's like $500. You just drop this server on your internet,
You'd be
at
killing
your house,
everybody online,
and you're gonna have 0 ping to our server, and you're like, oh yeah, I can do that. I can do that right now.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what we're talking about. We're talking about not only that level of game execution, but also once you get to that level of computing, say they sell 10 million or 20 million.
Exactly.
Or 50 million. You're looking at a server farm that will literally be able to push down any game and any device anywhere because everything's handled on the back end.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just math. That's not me being like, they're going to do it. It's just, that's the physicality of a network that
What's
big.
possible to do. Yeah.
It's absolutely possible. The server farm that big, that's that distributed between users like that, you would be able to put anything on anything. You'd be able to take it right to your TV because the straw is big enough. The milkshake is thick, but if you get a bigger straw, you know,
it's all the data's there for the taking, basically.
Exactly.
And it's like it's already there for you. You just put it there, and you're done. You're not trying to suck it through.
Well, and that's why I think that they're doing the cartridge thing is because they're basically like key fobbing.
Yeah.
Originally, obviously, they're going to have optical meter.
Explain what that is.
Okay, so like a key fob, if you work in like high security buildings or something, is something that has a global unique identifier that sits with you, a GUID that sits with you that identifies you as you.
Yeah.
Same thing happens with like a license that you put on a USB key. I use them all the time in work for multiple audio consoles, video consoles, lighting consoles that come with specific software that say it's okay for me to use this license on my computer to run this software.
Yes.
And they're usually called fobs, or they're called like, for instance, for pulling an example, Pro Tools calls it iLock.
Okay.
And so you have your iLock key fob with you, which is a USB drive that you drop it in, and then you can use Pro Tools and all of the Pro Tools plugins and Wave plugins wherever I go.
Yeah.
Wherever I go, I can plug this USB drive in, and as long as and then I can just download the software and use it.
Uh-huh.
And all it is authentication. I think that's really where Nintendo's going. They're looking at how they're going to sell games is going to be more of an authentication than a actual copy of a game. It's going to be, yes, you own the license of this game, but that just means you get it off one of our SCDs or on the console or whatever. I mean,
that's hypothetically.
Again, hypothetically,
Yeah,
I still think that they're going to use regular optical media and they're going to have stuff on their game cards.
Game cards, yeah.
Just because it makes sense to minimize loading time and server time.
Yeah.
Like it makes sense to put the base software on everything. They do the same thing on the fobs. Like the base software is there. It's just I usually keep it right on the USB too, so I can load it if I don't have it.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be there. I'm just saying that network-wise,
exactly,
it's an authentication. It's not anything software. It's you have the right to use this software.
Yeah, there was a video I saw the other day. This one channel was talking about, pretty big YouTube channel was saying like, oh, what if you lose your internet connection and then the game crashes on you, and oh my god, this thing could totally fail. But that's why I'm thinking that the game card aspect is a good choice, because then if your internet connection does fail, granted you may lose some of the AI features or something like that it's trying to help you with, but the game will still be there. The game won't crash. I mean, this is Nintendo we're talking about. It's not going to be some kind of situation where you have a terrible experience. Nintendo is known for releasing games that are finished products, well tested, that run smoothly. So I really think that the network ability of it is just part of it, at least at first.
Well, when you say that, it made me think of this. So I'm thinking about we did our last podcast on DICE and EA and all that stuff, and we're gonna roll back to EA and DICE because we just hate them like fucking so much.
Yeah.
We're going to roll back to that later. However, you think about like an Origin DICE server, like their backend, and how bad it is, and you're like, oh, or you could do that on a Nintendo server? Oh, my vote's for the Nintendo server because I know it's not going to be broken.
Yeah.
I will take the Nintendo serving network over any other network anywhere.
Yeah, exactly.
Because they don't mess around. So they're making a server network. They're making a server network that we literally get to buy and build the infrastructure
and
ourselves.
Be a part of. That's awesome.
Be a part of. It's genius.
Yeah.
The level of genius that is, if it really works out that way, is making your server, cloud, home environment, and social media and everything in one bubble.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's all Nintendo's bubble. So they're bringing everybody in the world into games and media and social experience and serving and cloud computing
Seamless,
right at home seamlessly. The potential of value, the potential of maybe Nintendo stops being a video game company. Not that I ever want Nintendo to do that.
Right.
Maybe they become a cloud computing company. I mean, that's what we're talking about. We're talking about the potential
Yeah.
being they might not need to make another product.
But the president of Nintendo did say that the NX, they're into they're getting into licensing their IP out, right?
Exactly.
They're doing the theme parks. They're doing TV shows, movies. But he did say clearly that the NX is going to be their main
100%.
focus priority for their company in general for the next how many years. And he said that it's definitely 100% going to be complete departure from the Wii and Wii U. It's not going to have anything to do with those systems as far as what it does. Mm-hmm. Now, he didn't say, of course, you gotta expect it's going to be backwards compatible with Wii U. That's what they do. But
they've never not had a backwards compatibility
since GameCube. Yeah. The Wii was and Game Boy Advance was backwards compatible with Game Boy.
Mm-hmm. All the Game Boy Advances were one generation back, but they didn't do the N64 GameCube crossover
cartridge. Yeah,
once they went from cartridge to optical, they couldn't go backwards that time.
Exactly.
But everything else, well, not everything else was because there wasn't any Super Nintendo crossover or anything, but. Basically, past the point of GameCube, everything then was backwards compatible.
They're doing so much work behind the scenes right now. It's amazing and nobody's seeing it happen but we're seeing it.
I wish they'd make an announcement already. Come on, Nintendo, say something about all the cool stuff you're doing.
They're basically saying, just let us have some money for Christmas, guys. Let us, buy that Wii U, buy that Xenoblade. Come on, let's basically say what this is to little Johnny and his mommy, NX. What this could mean would be like, oh, I can play my game away from home and come home and play it on my TV on my console seamlessly.
So specifically, what the patent is discussing to get the incredible jargon out of the way is first of all, the NX is still 100% a console and 100% going to have some type of handheld device that is associated with that console.
It's also called a console, though.
That is also called a console.
In the patent, yeah.
In the patent. However, they are separate consoles. There's a mobile portion and a non-mobile portion console.
Stationary, non-stationary.
Which is completely separate from the SCD, which is
the Supplemental Computing
Device, which does cloud computing serving type functions, among other things. But let's just call it the cloud computer right now to keep it simple.
Does process graphics too?
Yes. It processes everything
and storage
and storage. It does
functions.
all of the stuff.
Yeah.
But to keep it simple, let's say that it gives you access to Nintendo's cloud and a small cloud server directly to you. So it's going to process all the stuff locally, and also with any other cloud servers that are near you. So it's like having 50 NXs plugged in together into a room over the internet.
Yeah, exactly.
So the closer you are to more SCDs, the more potential you have at having more access to their cloud.
You know what's cool, too, that I didn't think of until just now, is that, say you have your NX mobile unit, and you come over to your buddy's house, you can jump right on with the same game and play together right there.
Yep.
No problem at all.
Problem at all.
You just connect through the SCD, you have it open with your buddy.
Yep.
Come over, you start playing your game.
That's awesome. I believe that's what they're trying to get to.
Street Pass can be a whole new thing.
It's beyond Street Pass. They're building an infrastructure of a network that allows them to connect everyone to everybody. So if everybody bought a Nintendo in the whole world, we'd all be connected to like this super server that we'd all get to use however we wanted to. Luckily, it's all designed to make really awesome games.
Yeah.
So we're basically wasting the biggest server we've ever built ever in that hypothetical situation to play games, which I'm totally comfortable with.
But and the patent did say to watch videos, watch movies. It didn't limit it to just games.
It didn't limit it to just games. So we have a multimedia experience that's given on a mobile and at-home variety, linked with a cloud system. That's what the patent's really talking about. Yes, it's not exactly a cloud system. Yes, it's not exactly a console. Yes, it's not exactly a handheld. These things are still too ambiguous to completely define. They don't have a clear definition of all. They do so many different things, but if we had to really simplify, it's console handheld cloud server
Yeah.
is going to be what the NX is comprised of.
And connecting them all together to make
A singular video game
to
experience.
make an amazing experience, which
That's
is
what's
good.
supposed to be happening with this patent.
Yay.
Yeah, I'm excited. Like this patent blew my hair back.
Yeah.
Like when I actually read the technical functionality and what they're trying to do and how broad this is way bigger than like what they were trying to do at UC Berkeley or what they did at NORAD or what they did at NASA or what PlayStation, Xbox tried to do with their subscription services. This is huge.
Yeah, exactly.
Like literally huge. And depending on how they take and develop this technology, because it is just an idea right now.
Yeah.
And
Patented.
depending on how we use this technology is depending on how it's going to develop. But the potential of this technology is like nothing I've ever seen.
Yeah, it's incredible. And you know, I and you, of course, we have to give Nintendo props because
Huge
they
props for Nintendo.
they always surprise me. They think outside of the box.
Oh, super outside the box. I never saw this
We're
coming.
always thinking like, oh, how are you going to do cloud? I'm thinking cloud, and server somewhere.
They answered the question. It's like the problem with cloud computing, and the reason why the Vita and the PlayStation and other things had problems. Let's just not pick on PlayStation right now. I've been beating on them pretty hard lately. So,
yeah, the problem with cloud
the
computing
problem with
thus
this
far,
is you're not close enough to the milkshake. Let's get real simple. Like all of the data that we want is a super thick, delicious milkshake.
yeah,
But our straw is too thin.
yeah,
Because
exactly.
they gave us like the super thick milkshake and this tiny little coffee straw.
Exactly.
And you just suck and suck and suck and suck, and it makes the brain hurt and like the veins pop out of your head. It's terrible.
Brain freeze.
What Nintendo is doing is making the straw bigger. So they're saying, look, we have this super thick, delicious milkshake and a straw that's the size of the cup.
And we're bringing it to your home.
And we're bringing it to your house. So you can suck and suck and suck all you want and get everything into your mouth.
Yeah.
That was really dirty. That was,
It makes sense though. What a great analogy.
but that's wrong with that.
Well, the thing with cloud computing is that with the PlayStation, for example, you need to pay for that service
Not only have to pay for that service
to make it get to your Vita, and it should have lag.
The back end of Sony's service just isn't good. Like it just is not like what Steam is or what Microsoft is. Microsoft and Steam do a lot better on the back end than Sony does. Sorry, Sony.
Yeah.
Your back end sucks.
Well, I mean, Microsoft's been networking for way longer than Sony.
Yeah, and so is
Yeah.
so is a lot
Apple
of other
too.
people.
Yeah.
But so Sony has some network issues. Their interface is better. I enjoy their interface way better than, and obviously people would argue with me, but I enjoy their interface way better than Xbone. Like I just don't enjoy that interface.
Yeah.
But that's just a personal thing.
We're talking about the network though, so it's a little bit different.
Well, interface to the network.
Yeah.
Specifically.
Okay.
Like the actual network and how you interface with it.
Oh, okay.
I enjoy the way PlayStation does it versus Xbox, where I get a lot of, like, one of the things that annoys me when I'm on Xbox is like random stupid people contact me that don't even know who I am because they're bot spamming.
Yeah. I
I don't get any of that on PlayStation. Whether that's because their network has protections. Obviously, they get hacked every other weekend. So, like,
The Lizard
this is
Squad.
way off topic.
Yeah.
Basically, their back end just isn't there, and it doesn't make always a satisfying game experience. I get a lot of disconnects. I get a lot of, especially like MGS. I get disconnected all the time. You know, online game gets chuddery, and that could be also Konami's server stuff too. You know, there's a lot of, but. Again, they have a really thick milkshake and a really bad straw.
Yeah, Nintendo is like the crazy inventor that invents these things that you would never even think of, but then it makes perfect sense.
Well, so how do you get around that problem? So they look at Sony, and they look at Microsoft, and they look at Apple, and they look at these people that have this cloud computing problem.
Yeah.
Of distance over time. Mm-hmm. You know, LOS stuff. Ping death stuff. Like all these technical terms we don't need to get into. You know, and how many hops it takes to one of the things in the patent is they're going to talk about like hops, and we actually talk about the SSID thing too, which is huge. Yeah. That's huge. So we talk about hops, and automatically the SCD is a router. It has to be a router with the way that they talked about it in the patent.
Explain what hops are to the guys.
So a hop is how many distance or how many networks it comes from how many routers it is. So like our network topography is incredibly complicated. A lot of people think that it's like, okay, I have like my home network and its devices, and then it goes to my little home router, and then that goes to like my cable or satellite or whatever thing I have, and then that goes to their network, like the Cox's network, and then the Cox network goes to the internet.
Right.
And that's generally how it is, but the actual amount of devices and things that go in between that place and the cloud is massive. And hops is one of those things of how many times it jumps from like one router's network to another router's network. Because once you're on the cloud, like once you get to that level of where all the routers and everything, and you're on the backbone of the internet, so you're dealing with your DNS servers, and you're dealing with your servering computers and all the stuff that makes the internet work seamlessly. How we daily deal with Facebook,
exactly. Yeah,
like, and we don't notice. Yeah, you probably went through 3 or 4 hops minimum just to get to Facebook.
Right.
Maybe it's 10, maybe it's 20, depends on where you are in the country. The SCD is immediately calculating those time to live packets, the line loss and the signal loss stuff, calculating the hops and picking the closest option.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like
it's the brain outside of the brain of the console.
It's kind of like what a router does when you have like a Cisco router, for instance. They have an open shortest path first protocol.
There you go. Yes.
Which is like it's going to open the shortest path first. So it's going to avoid hops, it's going to avoid time to live, it's going to avoid ping death, it's going to avoid these packet loss issues, try to find the shortest way to get the data there. And then this has existed for years. This has existed since the beginning of routing. This is not a new technology. But it's a new technology to bring in your home at that level.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like you can't really deal with open shortest path first stuff unless you know what you're doing and want to buy something way better than a $100 router at your house.
Yeah.
There is no configuring any of that crap on your Linksys WR4. Yeah. There's none of that.
But those are designed for the entire internet. Though.
Exactly.
This is for your game
house.
Experience.
Exactly. So this is your game experience. So it's giving you a direct access link.
Yeah.
It's giving you a direct access link to like a server farm, if you will, even though that really lacks the depth of what they're talking about.
Yeah.
All of this stuff is just surface stuff. And in order for me to even wrap my head around it, because I'm having trouble. Like, I'm literally like, man, this is heavy.
Yeah.
Why is everything so heavy in the future?
Yeah.
But
run for it, Marty.
Run for it, Marty. The potential again is incredible.
Yeah, it's
and almost limitless with having kind of a cloud device at home. Apple kind of touched on it with some of their products, but again, how do you solve the problem of central location? And they're like, well, we're going to decentralize it.
Yeah.
We're going to make a server network that's decentralized. Well, how do you do that? Well, you sell everybody a tiny server.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like, here's your tiny server.
Yeah.
Now if everybody in my apartment complex had an SCD, we're massive. Like, I have games out of control. I have extra CPU time for days, and we're so close together, regardless of bandwidth issues. My gaming experience is going to be way better than somebody else's, let's say, gaming experience. But I don't think Nintendo's going for that. I don't think Nintendo's trying to be like, well, if you get 50 of these, you're going to be better than the next guy. They're not trying to make it that way. They're trying to share load.
Yeah, exactly.
So then what happens is that because my apartment complex has all of this free server time, Nintendo's going to load that with people that are close so that they can get a better gaming experience too, and then they're going to reward my apartment complex for it.
There you go. Yeah, and you'll get what game discounts, free games.
Who knows? I mean, they can
merchandise.
Also the potential is the potential of this is also completely secular. Like, we're talking about gaming environment. Do you realize that a computer network like that size with that amount of processing power that I see it having based on the patent
amazing
is like having a globally accessible supercomputer, so that how easy is it to go to NORAD and be like, dude, I need time on your PlayStation 3 machine? Like, I can't figure this math problem out because I don't have enough computers, and can I get time on your supercomputer? And then a little waiting list just, huge waiting list, and I don't know, and thousands of dollars later. Or you can be like, hey, Nintendo, I see that like all your servers in East Germany do nothing most of the time because apparently they don't play games. Sorry, East Germany.
Guten Tag. Guten Tag. So we're all going to become assimilated into Nintendo's board collective.
Yes. Implants right into my eye, please.
Yeah, right in my eye.
Right in my eye, so I can play games at work and look like I'm paying attention.
Well, I mean, because the collective hive, right? When you think about it in sci-fi terms, is way better than a singular.
Exactly.
To
or a singular point. It's not just
person.
singular point. It's not only just singular thing and singular point. It's multiple collectives of multiple server farms. Mm-hmm. So they all can work as one, or they can all work as individuals. So they have the ability to multitask across, at least based on the network topography in the patent.
Yeah.
So if you do this thing, which is some people are doing it and some people are not, I don't think they're trying to attack it on Nintendo scale. Right. But there are several cloud systems that are distributed like that. There's a lot of people that are doing that right now. This is far more aggressive.
Yeah.
Because you're not going to sell 10 million cloud computers. You're just not. Like, so you can go on TV and be like, buy a cloud computer to help out the government. No. And nobody's going to buy, like, what's it get me? What's it do? It's like, you're gaming and you're just doing your thing. And say everybody has one, there's going to be so much server time left. Yeah. Like, I'm not doing anything. And now, again, this goes into leading industry chips. We don't know what it's going to do. We don't know what it can process. We don't know how powerful it is. But see, again, it's Metcalfe's law.
But the article and the rumors are, that it's going to have the most powerful chipset in the console.
Even if the server sucks, the value of the network is going to be directly proportionate to not only the users you have, but the systems that are on that network.
Yeah, you need to have a powerful system.
And that kind of thing then goes into an exponential growth curve of an x to the power of 2.
Right.
And then that goes to then you add 1, and that also goes to the power of 2, and so that kind of thing, Metcalfe's law, going all the way full circle back to the thing, it's like, okay, so now we have that many servers, even if they suck.
Yeah.
But they're going to be better than a PlayStation 3.
Yeah.
Just based on current technology, it's pretty hard to get worse than a PlayStation 3.
Right, exactly.
Like, you could throw in crap chips right now and beat out a 10-year-old system. Mm-hmm. Like, that's just reality. Mm-hmm. So they could go totally bargain basement and still have a server network that is robust as what sits at NORAD that people pay money for to sit on.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's not 10 million PlayStations.
Yeah.
It's like 110 or 85 or something like that. Go look it up and tell me in the comments. It's not a lot.
Yeah.
So if 110 people buy SCDs, we have the amount of a supercomputer just sitting on a network.
Yeah, exactly.
If 210 people, we have twice that. If 5,000 people buy it, or 1 million people buy it, the computing potential of distribution of actual supercomputing power, cloud service power, retarded huge.
Yeah.
That's what they're talking about in this patent. I don't know if they're going to achieve such a lofty goal, but it is a amazing idea.
Well, guess what? If you say you bundle that with the NX console,
exactly,
and you say,
then you get everybody to buy a supercomputer.
Get the new Zelda too. Check it out. And then you're like, okay, there you go. There's your 10 million consoles.
And what I mean supercomputer is the SCD by itself, not a supercomputer.
Right.
It's the combination of them all threaded together.
Because they can be daisy-chained.
It's all about the peer-to-peer networking, the open, the shortest path first, and putting them on a network together that allows them to share resources.
Yes.
Once you do that, now you have the potential of building a supercomputer.
Now,
it by itself does not have that ability.
Now, this is so interesting because when you go back to the Wall Street Journal article, they're making this console with the power to compete or have better
or exceed
specs than PlayStation 4, right? Because of due to the developers needing to have the latest technology to make games on the system. That's completely separate from this.
Oh yeah,
this is a whole something about level. Networking,
and that's the whole thing. It's
like amazing.
This is the whole thing. Like, say they do all that,
they're covering
all
the bases.
Separate. This itself could be its own business. Mm-hmm. If they run this patent out the way that it works, this by itself is 100% a viable business. It's cloud by Nintendo.
Yeah.
It's that big. Like, this patent is that big. If that SCD takes off, we're talking about cloud computing at home.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Having access to that much raw power at home.
1.21 gigawatts?
Exactly.
What is it? What's the Dragon Ball Z level equivalent?
Over 9,000.
Over 9,000.
Over 9,000.
Super Gogeta 7.5. What was it?
Over 9,000. The cartoon makes no sense. Power levels mean nothing in that cartoon.
They keep getting more powerful for no reason.
Yeah, for no reason.
Now their hair's blue.
And then the
right?
next guy's more.
Are their hair blue or purple now in that show?
I think Super Saiyan 4, his hair turns red.
Oh, but they have a new Dragon Ball. Anyway.
No, GT doesn't count. We're way off topic. GT doesn't count. No one likes GT.
Anyways, thank you guys for listening to our next discussion, and we will be back very soon. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.